We're headed into the next section of becoming aware of the power of interpretations. We will be taking a look at the basic process for managing interpretations. And yes, that was a question that was on your quiz. And you're not going to be graded on that because, of course, you are just being really introduced to that. But I wanted to see where everybody is. Pre-testing is an important part of learning where everybody is in this situation. Or learning opportunities. So that is where that came from. So vocabulary is really that 1.0 level. And hopefully everybody made it there or will be there by the end of the week. And we're going to focus on this section here, the score of a 2.0, where we're looking at being able to identify misperceptions and then also use a process to manage our interpretations, which is what we're going to focus on today. You should have your notes pulled up. We are going to focus just on this first page, okay? So you will be filling in these pieces here and then answering these two questions at the end of the day and turning these notes into me via Google Classroom. We'll be moving on to the other pieces later on as we go, okay? And there's some very interesting stuff that we have coming up in the next week. So let's take a look at that basic process for managing interpretations. I talk a lot about attitude in learning, and the attitude that you come in with is very important to how you're going to do in anything, whether it's a game or a competition, and even your classroom or dinner at home. Your attitude really can set the stage for the way things are going to be. So here's our first question. What is my current interpretation of the situation? Well, we're going to do a practice run through with that focus or that perception that my teacher hates me. We have all probably said this at some point in our life when we're having a bad week or something doesn't quite go right. And what this perception does, and remember, perception is the way that you understand something by using your senses. You've come to this determination because you think that you are treated differently than other students. You might get yelled at. You might get sent to the office or a call went home. You might get kept after school or you have a bad grade, and that's going to set what your perception is. You've already just cemented something in your mind that is going to have an effect on what happens next, okay? So if we continue with that feeling, what happens to us inside is that we get mad, unmotivated, angry, annoyed, frustrated, disappointed, depressed, confused, irritated, or sad, okay? Those are the feelings that come out because our perception is, my teacher hates me, okay? It has a cause and effect, and the effect on your feelings towards the teacher, the class, or anything you do in the learning environment, it's going to carry through. You have created a negative learning environment, okay? If we go on, what we do then is we might retaliate. We might not do our work or give little or no effort. We might not participate, even go as far as to be disrespectful, talking during instruction, disruptive in other ways, making noise with our hands or typing on things or just not paying attention, okay? And we really have to think about what is the reward for these actions? What do we get out of it? And the answer is we get really nothing, okay? It has a huge impact on your learning. What is the most likely outcome given this current interpretation? This is where the question changes. Remember before we were asking, what is my current interpretation? Okay, but when we get down to the outcome, so the second question is, what is the most likely outcome given my current interpretation? Well, you might get referred to the office. If you're not putting in the work or paying attention, that is going to have an impact on your grades. You're not being given a bad grade arbitrarily. If you are not paying attention and able to answer what's being brought forth, that is going to negatively affect your grades. There might be negative communication home, just getting negative attention in class. I've told my kids this, and it's unfortunate, but when we see somebody, and you have to be honest with yourself, Okay. When you've had a peer do something really negative, all of a sudden you see them doing a lot of other negative things, right? And that is that's something that we have control of. Teachers are human beings, and then pretty soon it's like a spotlight, and you don't want the negative spotlight. You want the positive spotlight. You might have to stay after school or do ISS. Okay. So we need to ask ourselves, do I want a different outcome? And I hope that the answer is yes. We have a tendency to always blame outside sources for our situations. It's always somebody else's fault. But what if we changed the one thing we have control over, which is ourselves? I also just wanted to say on a side note here, I'm not negating the fact that sometimes there is a not positive relationship between a teacher or student. I hate to think that that's true, but in the reality, sometimes it is. But what we need to do for ourselves as students, okay, I'm talking as a student here, is that we make the best of what we can and we make sure that we are doing the right things so that if for some reason it has to escalate to something more serious, we know that we were doing the right thing and can actually show that we were doing the right thing. So you just have to think about that because this will happen to you. You've probably maybe experienced some of it already. You will have experiences like this as you move on through other teachers, as you move on through other bosses, as you move on through other friendship relationships, things like that, okay? So you have to control the one thing you can, which is yourself. And let's see if we can use this to manage a different situation. So that is our third question, right? Do I want a different outcome? We need to ask ourselves that. So we move on to the fourth question. How must I change my current interpretation to obtain a different outcome? All right. First of all, I have to change my perception. Instead of saying, my teacher hates me, I go in with a different attitude. I say, my teacher cares about me and wants me to be successful. Whether I believe it or not, change that perception in your head and tell yourself, this is what your teacher wants for you, and you see how it changes. It might be later on, it might be a boss, it might be a friend, it might be a parent relationship, who knows? But the first person and the only person you can change is yourself, and you have control of your perceptions. So we're going to go ahead and think about that your teacher cares about you and wants you to be successful, and 98%, 99% of teachers are that way. They care about you and they want you to be successful. That's why we got into teaching, okay? All right. So that means that in this positive situation, we would see that evidence of that would be that the student is treated based on what they need. They treat students based on their trust fund. A trust fund, think about trust with your friends, okay? You have a trust fund with every person that you meet. And sometimes we do things that take something out of that fund, and we do things that put stuff into that fund. We want to operate putting things into that fund. Uses negative consequences to help me learn. This does not mean nothing negative will ever happen, okay? But when it is, it's a learning opportunity. Mistakes, problems, they're always a possibility to learn in those situations. You can positively affect any situation that you put your mind to, okay? All right, so we're going to move on to, we're still in question 4. How must I change my current interpretation to attain a different outcome? Well, my feelings should start to change. If more positive things are happening around me because I have created a positive environment to the extent of my ability, I should feel more confident. I should have happy feelings, motivated, feel comfortable and safe, loved and accepted in the situation that I'm in. Might take a little time, but little by little, as that trust fund starts to change, this isn't an overnight thing. If you've come from a bad situation, it takes a little time. Now, if you go into it from the beginning with this situation, with this perception, you shouldn't run into the negative pieces, okay? But if you have something to repair, it will take time, but you should start to see these things come forth, okay? I bring this about. I'm the student now, okay? The way that I change, the things that I do to change this are that I'm respectful. I follow directions. I try hard, okay? No matter what situation you're in, if you are someone that things are very hard for, try hard, okay? Just keep trying, you will grow. In the same hand, if things come very easy to you, don't stop trying, okay? I see this so many times. You always need to try hard. I tell my own kids, you should be giving 110%, not 100%. It's not enough, okay? And really in society today, a lot of times we think it's okay just to give about 80% and just, if I do the minimum, it's fine. You are going to get the best reward out of putting more effort in. Remember, you get out what you put in, okay? So try hard. Try harder than they want you to, okay? You're going to get your work done. Participate. Stay on task. Don't be doing things to be disruptive. Pay attention because it's your time. Use your time. Be engaged. You get out what you put in. The opposite of this does not help you to grow and learn in any way, shape, or form, all right? But doing the above, everything you do brings you a reward, okay? And this is, like I said, we're not just talking about the classroom. We're talking about when you go on further in life. What you get out of this is the most important, okay? It is about you. It's about getting the most for you, but you are an active participant in getting the most out of anything you participate in life, okay? If you're going to do the minimum, you're going to get the minimum. If you're going to do less than the minimum, you're going to get less than the minimum. But if you give more, you are going to get more. You're going to get positive communication home. You're going to get compliments, positive attention. Your grades are going to be higher. Your growth is going to be better. You're going to learn more. And that trust fund is just going to get higher and higher and higher. And who does that benefit? The person it benefits the most is you. Okay? And remember too, the other thing is that you have an impact on the people that are around you. Your attitude is contagious. Just like laughter is contagious, so are attitudes, okay? And you having a positive perspective on things or perception of things is also going to rub off and be beneficial to other people. It creates a whole different environment, all right? So now we're going to think about the questions that we have with managing interpretation. So you should have through this filled out, and you can go through and listen to this again. All right. And I will upload the hard copy so you can just go through and read it if you would like to. So you have both options. All right. But you should have notes for these two sections. And now we're going to take the time and answer these questions. Okay. So how can changing your perception affect your interpretation? What did you get out of this? Okay. What are your thoughts or what you're thinking about or what spoke the most to you? Okay. And how can having a more positive interpretation affect outcome? We're going to be using these tools as we go along. So you want to make sure to have something written down. Please be sure that once your notes are completed, you have uploaded them to Google Classroom and got them turned in. I'll be taking a look at them just to make sure you're on track with keeping notes. The rest of your time is yours today, so if you have something else to work on or want to work on IXL, read a book, or read the news, you have that time, and I hope you have a great day. If you have any questions, as always, you can email me, stop by, and we'll talk to you soon.